So the New York Knicks came off of a West Coast trip where they went 3-4, which is remarkably impressive. Kings, Warriors, and Nuggets. If you were to tell me that the Knicks would win 2 of those 3 games, I would have taken that any single day of the week. Coming back at home in the Garden, beating the Nets 105-93. That was a close game. It came down to the fourth quarter. The Knicks were able to win that 25-16. Dante DiVincenzo was the hero in this one. He got hot in a hurry, scored like the first 7 points, and then Hart scored, and then Devo hit another 3. He finished the game with just a ridiculous 31 points on 12 of 24 shooting, 4 of 13 from 3. DiVincenzo did a good job just being aggressive. He also got in the passing lanes, had 2 steals, 5 assists, 6 rebounds. If Dante was on the roster last year, I think we would have beat the Heat. I truly do. I think he makes that much of an impact for the team. Miles McBride, I said in my last video that he's essentially replaced Emmanuel Quickley, and I still stand by that. McBride is doing exactly what Quickley was for us. Is McBride going to shoot 40% from 3 the rest of the season and in the playoffs? I have no idea. I don't know why he wouldn't, though. The guy's just been on an absolute tear. 6 of 12 from 3, 26 points, was second on the Knicks in scoring behind DiVincenzo. McBride played all 48 minutes in this game. We know Josh Hart has been playing the most minutes per game since the All-Star break. He's at 44. DiVincenzo played 41. Brunson played 33. Hartenstein played 26. I mean, he's not fully healthy, dealing with that Achilles injury coming off of it, but Hartenstein I thought was amazing in this game. He had 4 steals, 2 blocks, 17 points, 9 rebounds. Just continues to be a wrecking force for the Knicks out there. Preston Achiuwa has been quiet lately. Haven't really seen much of him. He played just 7 minutes. Boyan played 7 minutes, had 3 points. The bench just didn't do much. That's the thing, and it makes sense because the Knicks are without 3 starters: Mitchell Robinson, OG, and of course Julius Randle. So what's next for the Knicks? Well, OG, he's already been declared out for Monday's game tomorrow against the Pistons, and it makes sense. The Knicks are not gonna rush him back for the Pistons. That's the beauty of the next 3 games being against teams that aren't going to make the playoffs, and the Pistons, Raptors. Magic are just a game and a half out of the 4th seed, which is something to keep an eye on, but the Knicks are a game out of the 3 seed. We know that Coach Thibodeau loves to work his starters, play them big minutes, and it makes sense because if these guys weren't playing these high minutes, then the Knicks would not be winning the amount of games that they are. For example, McBride playing 48 minutes. Well, that's 48 minutes of a guy who's one of the best perimeter defenders at the position, and he's shooting the ball well. You take him out, you play him 40 minutes. Now that's 8 minutes where a team has an opportunity to make a run. So I do agree with the minutes. It's just, is it going to catch up to the Knicks? Because you have to understand this upcoming schedule. They kind of go hand in hand now that I think about it. So at the end of March, the 31st, the Knicks play OKC. Then they play Miami, Sacramento, Chicago, who is in the play-in right now, so they're going to be ready to go. Milwaukee, Chicago, Boston. All of those teams are going to either more than likely make the play-in or make the playout. Like the only team that's in the play-in picture that I just named is the Bulls, because the Heat are 38 and 32. They're the 7th seed. Okay, technically the Heat are in the play-in. The play-in is the 7 through 10. So I'm kind of worried because I do think the Knicks are going to get through the regular season. They're going to finish either as the 3 or the 4 seed. I mean, depending how it goes. It's just, is it going to add up? Because these guys are being asked to do a lot just due to the injuries. Missing 3 starters now means that your bench obviously is going to shrink because guys are in the starting lineup. And the Knicks are fortunate that they have built the roster well. I mean, we're talking about a roster that has Isaiah Hartenstein as a backup, Josh Hart as a backup. I mean, Dante DiVincenzo, of course, was coming off the bench and then he became the starter, so he's going to be locked in for the foreseeable future. It's just the ability to bring in Miles McBride, a guy who, of course, Knicks fans have always liked Deuce because they knew his defense and they knew his ability and his potential, and he's, 23, which is just crazy to think he's literally 23 years old, man. That's so freaking young, but it's the way that the Knicks are attacking teams is they're just getting after you defensively. They're moving the ball. They have guys that can beat you. Jalen Brunson was 7 of 24 in this game at 17 points. He was off, didn't have a shot. You could tell that he was frustrated of the lack of calls that he was getting. I mean, Brunson only took 0 free throws, right? He didn't even take a single free throw. He should have taken a good amount of them. Brunson gets hit all the time, and they just don't call it, if I'm being real with you. But, I mean, the Knicks, at one point, hit 4 threes in a row. I mean, it was a beautiful thing to see, the way they moved the ball. You could tell that this team has a lot of chemistry. They just want to compete for each other. They believe in Coach Tibb. And this season, it has been a little bit streaky. Like, the Knicks did not start off the season too hot, and then they lose Mitchell Robinson. And without Mitch, it wasn't like they were exactly balling, but then they move Hartenstein into the starting lineup, and the Knicks have as good of a record as anyone. The East is wide open. Boston is the team to beat. They're going to be the favorites, and they're probably the best team in the NBA. I still think Denver makes a strong case for that. I mean, it's basically just pick your poison at that point. I mean, the Boston has 57 wins, which is just ridiculous, like 57-14. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games. But I truly do believe that the Knicks and the Celtics match up very well, because we have enough depth to be able to counter Boston. Boston has a ton of depth, a ton of ways to attack you, but so do the Knicks. Like, we're talking about a starting lineup of Jalen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, and then Isaiah Hartenstein. Mitchell Robinson did say on Instagram that he would definitely come off the bench, and it makes sense because you don't want to rush him back in here and try to mess up the chemistry. But having Mitch being able to come off the bench, a guy that led the NBA in offensive rebounds, a guy that can block shots, that can catch lobs and brings energy. I mean, Mitch, there has been a lot of flaws to his game that sometimes it's almost like I really don't even want him to be out there. He got exposed against the Heat. But I feel like Mitch definitely learned from that, and he improved, and he was about to have a career year, a breakout type of season, finally be able to put it together, and then he got injured. So having him being able to come back is a massive weapon, because there's going to be a lot of teams that struggle to defend him, to get the rebounds. And Randall and Mitch, and I know IQ's no longer with us, but these guys struggle in the playoffs, and they're going to remember that, because a lot of people don't realize that you remember the lows more than the highs. Like, when you lose a playoff series, there's just no worse feeling. It just keeps you up at night. So I feel like that playoff series against the Heat is going to be big for the Knicks, because when we did make the playoffs, went up against the Cavs, it seems so just weird, right? Because I mean, you guys definitely, Knicks fans are gonna be able to relate. I mean, we had some really bad teams. I'm talking about a 17-win team. Just the Knicks were not hitting on their picks, and they just weren't able to figure it out, man. I mean, Kevin Knox and Frank Ntilikina and RJ Barrett, I wish him nothing but the best, but I secretly did want the Knicks to trade him. I mean, yeah, of course, he's a homegrown player, and it would have been awesome to see him succeed, but I just never had the most amount of faith in RJ, even though in the playoffs, I thought he played well. I thought RJ against the Heat played very well. He was honestly our second best player behind Brunson. It's just what is truly the ceiling of RJ Barrett. And the Knicks, of course, were missed out on Zion Williamson and John Morant, and injuries and just stupidity have kind of cost those guys. But Zion's balling right now, and I mean that's something that I definitely think about. But before the Knicks, I mean, they also passed on Shea and Donovan Mitchell. I mean, I'm pretty sure that, yeah, the Knicks, I think, did pass on Shea, and I know they passed on Donovan Mitchell. It's things like that. But new management and new staff, and these guys are just building the roster the right way. The New York Knicks right now, I mean, last season I was talking about how the Knicks needed to go out and get a superstar, and they need to get someone next to Brunson, but I truly don't think the Knicks need a big-time star. I think they're fine with Brunson and Julius Randle. You add in OG, who I hope they can extend him, and he's not going to be cheap. I mean, OG is going to make a lot of money, as he should. I mean, he's one of the best 3-and-D players in the NBA. I mean, he's one of the best defenders. I would say OG is a top 5 defender in all of basketball. I mean, he's a guy that every season could win Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, he can just switch every position, and he's great. And when he's out there, the Knicks look like a much better team. I mean, the Knicks are what, like 16-2 with OG in the lineup. I mean, it's something crazy like that. So yeah, I love what I'm seeing out of this team. I'm excited, and I just hope that this team can get healthy, because I want to see what they're fully capable of at full strength. I mean, it's going to be such a blast, and these next couple of games are games that you just can't lose. Like, when you're a game out of the 3 seed and you only have a half-game lead on the 5th seed, Orlando, you definitely want to win the games that you're supposed to.